Hi everybody, my name is Stacy. I'm a sales manager with Allison's Pantry, and I'm here with my son Alex, who is a chef, and he's going to teach us some ways to save money at home by cooking restaurant quality meals for our family. All of the products that we are using tonight are from Allison's Pantry, and so you're going to learn fun and exciting ways to dress up your plate and enjoy what you're cooking.
Okay, so for the last dish tonight, we have salmon. Now, salmon's really popular. Pretty much everybody's tried it, and there's lots of different ways that you can prepare it. My favorite is just to, again, sear it in a pan like what we've done with the other fish here tonight. But we're gonna do a little bit of a different twist with this one. We're gonna do seared salmon, and then I'm gonna actually add some raviolis to it, and we'll do a little bit of a salad mixture to go with it. So to start us off, the raviolis, these are spinach and cheese raviolis, and these are gonna take a couple of minutes. So I'm gonna get these cooking first, which is just in this pot of water that I have going here. And I want to add a little bit of salt to this. It's always good to add some salt to your water that you're going to cook things in. As this pasta cooks, it absorbs that water, and therefore it's going to absorb the salt as well. So it's always good to season your water that you're going to use. So then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drop some of these in here. Again, we want to do things in odd numbers, so I'm just going to put 5 of those. We'll do 5 on our plate. And we're going to let that sit for a couple of minutes and go ahead and cook. You do want to stir it for just a second so those pastas don't stick together. So I'm going to take this and set it on my stove over here. And I'm going to bring back my saute pan. So again, I have our fish here, our fillets that we're going to use for this. I want to go ahead and season them as we've done with everything tonight. A little bit of salt, and then again a touch of some pepper, just light. And then I'm going to go ahead and use some more of this oil, just a little bit in the bottom of the pan. Season side down first. Also, on a lot of fish, you will notice there's 2 different sides to fish. There's what's called the presentation side, and then the bottom. And you'll notice the difference because the bottom has this dark stripe running through the side of it. We always want to start with our fish searing on the presentation side down. This is going to be the side that is actually, when it sets the plate in front of you, that's what you're going to see first. So you always want to start with that presentation side. So that's what I'm starting here, seasoning. I'm just going to set that in my pan, give it a little bit of pressure to make contact. And go ahead and do the same thing with my second one. You'll see the line on the back there. So set my good side down, a little bit of contact. Again, do not touch this. Once you set those down and you've pressed them, leave that fish alone to give you that nice color and the crispiness that you want on the outside of that dish. So we're gonna let that cook for just a couple of minutes until we start to see that browning happening along the outside like we did with the halibut. Okay, so for this dish, the sauce that we're gonna use is actually what's called a beurre blanc sauce. Now, beurre blanc is a butter sauce, and inside this pan here, I've taken some citrus juice. So this is lemons and a little bit of lime and some orange. We'll give you the recipe on the end of this video, but you're gonna put that juice in the pan first, and you wanna actually render that juice down so it starts to actually reduce. And you wanna get it to where it's just a little thin layer across the bottom of that. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna add just a touch of cream. In a traditional beurre blanc, there isn't any cream, but this is kind of a shortcut for you to understand, because cream is a stabilizer. And so what it will do is actually will stabilize this sauce so that as you're adding your butter to it, you don't have the chance of that butter breaking as much as if you didn't have the cream in there. So I've added that cream in there, and then I've mixed that together. You can see it's a little bit of a lighter color. And that's the beginning of our sauce making. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna switch spots here, and I'm gonna add this to my burner. Now, the secret to beurre blanc sauce is you wanna add butter in little chunks, just a little bit at a time. You don't wanna add too fast, and you don't want your pan to be too hot, because that will actually break that butter down. And you wanna continue to keep swirling and moving that butter around so that it has a chance to melt evenly. And then once you start to see those chunks have just about melted, you're gonna add just a couple more pieces in there. And you continue this process until you've added the right amount of butter. Now, for a sauce like this, you wanna go for about a half a stick of butter, maybe about 3/4 of a stick of butter. I know that seems like a lot, but obviously we're not going to use all of this sauce on our plate. you want to make sure that you have a nice ratio of that butter flavor with the citrus. And so you got to make sure you add enough butter so that you're not overpowered by the citrus flavor that comes with it. So I'm going to add this last little bit of the butter here. You'll notice that my butter has been sitting out at room temperature, so it's nice and soft and pliable. That's also a key part of it, is you want the butter just to be on the side of chilled. You don't want it to be runny, obviously, because it will break. So now that sauce is, the butter is melted in there, and that sauce has turned into a nice consistency. It's a little thick. I'm going to add just a little bit of my parsley to it because I love the extra color and flavor that brings. And I'm going to add just a pinch of salt, not a lot, just enough to give you a little extra flavor. So now that sauce is done, I'm going to set it off to the side in a warm area. You want to make sure it stays warm and doesn't have a chance to get too cold, or that butter will start to solidify again and you'll be out of a sauce. Now my fish has gone ahead and started to brown along the outside like we talked about before with the halibut. So I'm going to season the backside again with some salt and a little bit of pepper. And then using my fish spatula, I'm going to go ahead and in one quick motion slide it underneath and then rotate that salmon over. And it's okay to use your fingers as the brace for the backside of that. Now you'll see here, that salmon's a really nice golden color. That's what you're looking for. It started to caramelize. The top of that is really nice and crisp. So I'm going to turn my heat down just a little bit and let that continue to cook. Okay, so for the last component that we're going to use on this dish, we're actually going to use some blended lettuce. This is just a standard type of mixed green you can pick up at any store that you use. I like to use lettuce with this because it's nice to have a lighter aspect to this dish. Everything we've done tonight is a little on the heavier side, so this one's going to be a little light. So I'm going to actually take this lettuce, I'm going to add a little bit of our blended oil to it. Not a lot, but just a little bit. Season it with a little bit of salt and pepper. Now, one thing I wanted to mention earlier is with the salt, I like to use kosher salt. Kosher salt is a little bit coarser, and you'll notice that it's easier to handle in the kitchen when you're picking it up and sprinkling it. You get good consistency because it's easier to hold in your fingers. It also helps when you're cooking with meats. It helps to actually coat and sear nicely on those proteins that you're using. So if you have some kosher salt, that's nice. Regular table salt works just as well. It's just a personal preference of mine. So now I'm going to just mix this lettuce up a little bit to evenly coat that oil around it. And I'm going to let that just sit on the side for a second. And what I have here is our raviolis. Now these are ready to go. They've been cooked through. You'll notice here that they're nice and soft. The inside is cooked through. They're nice and firm in the middle to let you know that it's not frozen or anything. And I'm going to go ahead and start this plating. So I've got a square plate here that I'm going to use for this. And my first thing is I'm going to take some of this salad, and I actually want to kind of spread this out a bit around the plate here. Again, utilizing some of those different colors that we have on this plate. Okay. Now I want to take some of these raviolis. So go ahead and fish these out of the pot, drain off some of that liquid, and I'm going to just place them around the dish here. Again, we're going to use them in an odd number. Okay, and I'm going to set this guy right underneath here. So now I have our salmon back here, and it has gone ahead and seared on the other side. I want to use this same lemon dill butter that we used earlier with the halibut, and I'm going to baste this again. Let that butter melt just like we did with the other dishes. And you'll notice that as this fish is cooked, it actually becomes to a state where it releases itself from the pan. You'll notice a lot of times when you put fish down, it gets sticky at the very beginning. And that's why I let you know not to move it. Let it stick and be fine. You'll actually notice that once it's cooked enough, it releases itself from the pan and you're actually free to move that fish around. But if you try to force it before it's ready, it will just go ahead and tear that skin and you'll end up with a sad looking piece of fish. So go ahead and use that butter and just baste over top of that fish. Now with salmon, I like to cook my salmon just on the side of medium to medium rare. It's actually, salmon's really good to eat with a little bit of pink in the middle. It keeps it nice and flavorful, and it has extra liquid in there if you don't dry it out too much. So now I have my sauce that I made here, the beurre blanc sauce. You can see that it's continued to stay in that nice buttery state that we want it to be, and I'm going to use this. This is going to be what's drizzled over top of the plate, and I want to just kind of circle it around and make sure you get it on top of that ravioli that's there on the plate. So what's happening here is you're kind of getting a two-fold sauce. It's going to be a coating for the ravioli and also a dressing for your salad. It's got some nice lemon flavor to it to give you a nice contrast. I'm going to go ahead and use some more of my red bell peppers that I had earlier, and I'm going to garnish the top of that plate right there. And you have now presented your third plate for everybody to enjoy. And there you go.
Okay, I just want to say thanks to Alex. We've enjoyed what he's been teaching us tonight, and I hope you're all excited to go and fix fancy dinners at home, and you've got Valentine's coming, so it's a great time to take advantage of what we have on sale in the catalog. There's so many good things. With our 30th anniversary, a lot of these products are on their best sale ever, so take a look and enjoy, and thanks so much, Alex.
Thank you.